Welcome, my friends, to YouTooSpain Live. Yes, I'm back from the brink of oblivion. I've still got my teeth in. And this week on our penultimate show of the year, I will be chatting with my great friend Ruth Collins-Cowburn all about our experiences of 2024. What a bleeding year it's been, including some excellent insights into getting your final visa and travelling on an expired TIE card. We've got all sorts of tidbits to talk about, and we'll be reflecting on both of our journeys this year. Yes, it's the J word, and about having visitors. It's going to be a very laid back, fun show, and I'd love it if you would join in too over there on the live chat. And you can ask questions and make comments on there or in the comments below, whether you're watching now or afterwards as a video, because you are part of this too. You are welcome to YouTooSpain. Run the theme music and learn. Ooh, that's groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's meet my wonderful guest for today. It's Ruth Collins-Cowburn. Hola, Henny.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
I'm groovy. Yeah, muy bien.
Nice to see you back.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you back too. It's been an age. And yeah. I used to drag you on when I had a guest who couldn't come on, but I should just invite you properly as a proper guest. But
yeah, it's nice to be a bride. I was always the bridesmaid. I feel.
Oh, bless. Anyway, you're looking very different from the thumbnail. You notice I used quite an old thumbnail there because you've still got long hair. When was that from? Did you see it? It's where you've got an owl on your head. So
ages ago. We were looking at some pictures. Actually, it's our 3rd year anniversary here, and a picture popped up on, I don't know, the digital photo frame or somewhere. I was in the car after we left the airport, and I was like, blimey, it does look different. All the stresses of the UK I was carrying in my face, that's all gone, thankfully.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. So let's have some quick shout outs to anyone who's joined us yet on the live chat. They're usually a bit slow to start waving, but Jason's web is there. Good morning, Skatz. And we'll wait for them all to appear. So make sure you do give us a wave, by the way, so that we know you're on, so that we know who we're talking to. And I'll keep on checking the live chat as we go along, see if there's any questions come up. So while we're waiting for them, Ruth, very quickly, for those people who've not met you before, the poor souls, tell us all about yourself and give us a bit of a background.
So we've been living, my husband and I have been living here for 3 years now, moved from the north of England. I'm an honorary Geordie, moved from Newcastle, live in Granada, just outside Granada, and it was the pandemic that kicked it off. We decided in the pandemic that we didn't want to stay in the UK anymore and to live a life dream, because you never know what's going to happen. As we now know, this year's Skatz, this year's talk was all about that.
Yeah.
So we jacked our jobs in, threw everything we had at it, and moved over here, and have never looked back.
Brilliant. Yes, and I've been up there and stayed with you. You're in a lovely part just to the east of Granada, aren't you? Just
south. Yeah, we're just to east of Granada. That's right, and we're just at the bottom of the Sierra Nevada, so we can see the foothills of the Sierra Nevada out of the window, and it's about 25 minutes up to the ski resort from where we are, and it's 40 minutes to the coast. So where we live, they say it's the only place in Spain that you can ski in the morning, have lunch in Granada, and swim at the coast in the afternoon. So it's a lovely part of the world, and we're about an hour and 40 from Malaga, and about an hour and a half from you. So it's lovely. It's a lovely part of the world. Very, very Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get the extremes of the weather over there as well, don't you? You get we were just talking about you've got to, what is it you said about Beyonce?
Oh, I'm like Beyonce this time of year, 4 costume changes a day. So it's in the morning, you're like, oh, go put your fleecy jammies on. And then you're like, oh, I'm doing the housework. Oh, I need a T-shirt on because suddenly the sun's come up over the mountains and it the temperature goes up by about 10 degrees. And then at the moment, Thursday, it was 33 in direct sunlight on the terrace. So you're like absolutely sweating. But of course, because it's very Spanish here, you can't possibly wear a t-shirt out. You have, have to have your puffer jacket on, your jumper on, your jeans, sweat's dripping off you. And then as soon as the sun goes and you're in the shadows, it's back to sort of like, oh, it's about 12 degrees. So you're like, oh, okay, everything back on. And then in the evening, you've got the log fire on. So it's really, you get all the seasons in one day, but it's those beautiful, crisp, bright blue skies, beautiful sunshine during the day. And it's because there's a bit of snow on the mountain, it's got a really alpine feel. So this is possibly my favourite time of year. In the summer, when we're seeing like 43, 45 degrees, I'm like, it's a bit much. So get real seasons here, real winters, real summers. So it's lovely.
Great. Let's just say good morning to Richard Eastman, and also Chris from Upsticks is on. Morning all, have a great show. Thanks, matey. And we'll all be seeing you next week for the Christmas show. Yay! And oh, by the way, I should say to everybody, if you want to send in a video, a Merry Christmas video, and do that, make sure it's landscape, and we'll try and collate all of those, and you'll get your chance to be on the show. That'd be lovely. So get that done as soon as possible, so I've got time to put them all together and ready for next week. So you told me, I can't remember how many years you've been here, but you said you'd got your final visa.
Yeah, so it was our third anniversary on the 28th of November. That's when we left the UK. So obviously, I'm going to say obviously, maybe not everyone knows. So you get your first visa you have to apply for that in the country of your original residency. So your first visa you get in the UK. And then that lasts a year, and then you apply for your renewal in Spain. And that first renewal covers you for years 2 and 3. And at the end of year 2 and 3, which is where we are now at the end of the year, you apply again and you get your renewal for year 4 and 5. And that's what we've just got now. Now the last renewal is the last where they check all your criteria. So your finances, your police record, your health certificate. That's the last criteria met renewal. And at the end of this 2 years, so 4 and 5, then it's just a matter of renewing your TIE card, your tarjeta identity card, and then that's just a card. And then that's it. 5 years currently. Who knows when we get to that stage if anything's changed, because some of the rules just changed a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure Chris knows this.
Absolutely, we're going to be doing programs all about every single change in the coming year, which is quite exciting. Actually, it's going to give us loads of stuff to broadcast about. So
and I can see more changes coming especially with the new government in the UK. I can see different things happening. So I wouldn't be surprised by the time we get to the end of the 5th year if there's major changes. So one of the big changes, and you'll probably cover this, that John my husband was delighted about, is when we applied for the visa, the first application we got turned down because we went as a cohabiting couple, which used to be allowed in Spain. Chris will know the Spanish, I can't remember what the Spanish phrase for it is, and we were turned down. So we had to get married because we couldn't afford to stay here as individuals, because obviously it's twice the amount of money and twice the amount of wealth that you need, proving of wealth. So we had to get married. Of course he wanted to marry me. It wasn't sure.
Of course.
He always said, of course we're going to do it, darling. So, but just in the last month, the Spanish have done that again. They said, yeah, you can come as cohabiting couples. So, so as a cohabiting couple, you will be treated for your financial checks as if you were a married couple, providing you have the right certificate, providing you can prove that you've cohabited for the requisite length of time, and you really are a couple, you're not just saying you are. So there's a lot of checks and balances, but that's just one of the things that just changed recently. So
any other
he tells me he's a very happily married man, so it's fun.
He looks it to me. Brilliant. Any more insights that you've got about the 4 and 5 renewal?
Yeah, I think We changed lawyers this time, just because our other lawyer was on holiday and we just couldn't get her at the right amount at the right time. Because our renewal is in November, so you start collating everything at the back end of the summer. Of course, no one's available in August. It seemed the lawyer we had this time was a lot more, I say, stringent, and she was, I don't think you've got enough cash in the bank, and she was quite, you need to have it would have been 76,000 because you obviously have to prove your wealth for 2 years, the 4 and 5. And we're like, we don't have that in the bank, but we've got a house and we've got pensions coming in. And she was like, I'll see what they say. But she seemed to think they were going to be much stricter on that. As it turned out, they weren't. Putting all the wealth together, so your house, the fact you're on the padron, you can prove your pensions are going to come in. They looked at it in the whole. So that was fine. It did take longer this time. So she had no idea why that was. So the last visa we got approved in 5 weeks. This took 7. Such a nail bite in 7 weeks. It's I think one of the things we've learned through the whole process is, and I'm going to use the J word, everyone's journey is different. And it sounds such a cliche, but it's true, because some people come here. We came here quite young. We were 50 and 51 when we came. And obviously, you can't work on the NLB, current NLB. You're not allowed to have active employment. So we retired. So at that age, we didn't have active pensions. So for us, we had to keep hard cash in the bank and just live off savings from selling the house. When we talk to other people, they're like, we came when we were 58 or 59, so we were already getting our pensions in. So they had a different journey because they could use their pensions as income. So I think the whole point about your visa is it's very unique to you, your journey, and you've got to plan for it on your circumstances. And you can ask other people advice and ask how it was for them, but it is very, very unique. Yours and Liz's journey was completely different. Pre-Brexit, obviously, post-Brexit, B-word, all of those things are different. So I think what we learned is get your own house in order, ask other people how they've done it, but get your house in order for your circumstances, because it's very, very particular.
Very good advice, yes.
And
excellent.
That's where someone like Upsticks will come in, because they'll look at your circumstance. It's not what. So the criteria has to be met. That's the government criteria, but how you get there is very personal to you, and that's why I think it's so important to use someone like Chris and his team, because they're best placed to tell you what to do.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, it's all the clattering about in the background.
Yeah, there's Taddy Bigacca on his bike right up the mountain.
Fabulous.
Love you, bye.
Have a good one. And that's still, there's some more people. Lots of people have joined us. Jason's Web is asking, what coast is 40 minutes from Ruth? Well, it's the south coast, isn't it?
Costa Tropical.
Yeah.
We call it this little bit. So we're broadly, people would know it as the Costa del Sol, but our part of the coast is called the Costa Tropical, and that is Herradura, Almuñeca,
Motril,
Salobreña, Motril, Calahonda. So it's quite a small bit of coastline, very very underdeveloped until you get to the port of Motril. Motril is quite nice for a port town, but Salobreña is very underdeveloped, no high rises.
That's where the runoff from the Sierra Nevada is there, which is why it's so green, which is why everything is grown there, including tropical stuff.
Yeah, we've got big mango groves there. It's where Pulido rum is made. There's a big rum factory because of all the sugarcane. That was the historic industry there with sugarcane.
Nice.
You'll see the old sugarcane factory, and I said the rum's still made there. So yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful coastline. Well worth a visit.
It looks strange if you look at it from Google Maps, because it just looks like there's loads of squares and rectangles everywhere, because they're the growing places.
Yes. So if you go on Google Maps and you look to the east, there's a place called El Ejido, and El Ejido is a plastic town, almost now, and it goes on for kilometres and kilometres. It is huge, and that's where all the fruit and veg is grown that gets exported. Luckily it stops at Montreal, well, before Montreal. Salabreña's got a few in the mountains. There's a few bit more creeping. And I think, I don't want that here, spoil it. But yeah. El Ejido is not worth a visit. If you're going to go on the A7 on the coast, just drive straight through. It's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's got to be there because that's where all the good stuff comes from. Yeah.
Yep.
So hello to Barry from Unitech. Good to see you back in live, Skatz. And Robbo, morning everyone. Craig Halliday, good morning all from a very sunny Portaloa. I don't know where that is.
No.
And E9 Hug, hello there. Morning all from a sunny Campusol in Matharon. And yes, hello to everybody on the Campusol. Jed Tierney's there, hello, good morning from a very cold and windy UK. Oh yeah, you've got warning. And Mr. Lower Largo, great to see Skatz and Ruth. Always an informative show. Originally from Glasgow, I've just secured my 3rd year renewal of my non-lucrative visa here in Torrevieja.
Well done, congratulations.
Absolutely, yes. I should actually clarify the terminology here. Everybody says it's the renewal of your visa, but actually the visa is just your stamp to get into the country. It's your residency that you then get once you're there.
Yeah.
And it's the renewal of the residency that happens.
Yeah.
So if anybody was confused by that, then I hope that's cleared that up for you. Catherine Underwood. Oh, there's a question here. Let's see if I can answer something. Hopefully, if Chris is online, he can answer this. Can unmarried adult children, e.g. age 42, be added as a dependent on the NLV or Golden Visa? How would you show dependency? Can it be financial dependency and not dependency for medical reasons? Generally, no, I think is the simple answer. Once you're over 21, proving dependency
Would be quite difficult, I think.
would be quite difficult. They'd have to be, have a severe disability, or it would have to be medical reasons really. Because if somebody is, an adult and should therefore be able to look after themselves, then, if they're 42, then they've had an extra 21 years. During that 21 years, if they've been able to look after themselves, then they're not dependent anymore, really. Whether they've moved back in with you or not, I suppose. So that's my answer to that. I don't know if Chris has got anything to add to that, or whether he's watching it avidly or just got it on in the background. I don't know. So there we go. Peter Newbury says, "We are married but came here as individuals. So do we need to show our wedding certificate for our 2 to 3 renewal? Originally, Spain would not take our existing wedding certificate as it's 18 years old."
Absolutely. All you needed, I hate to say this, all you needed to do was just get a new wedding certificate. You just go to the register office where you were married. You can just phone them up.
You can do it online, yeah.
Do it online, yeah, phone them up, and then they just issue a new one. For every renewal, you have to get a renewed wedding certificate. It has to be the original, and it has to be apostilled in The Hague. But had you have done that, you didn't need to come as individuals. You could have just come as a married couple. But you will need to do that for your 2 and 3. It needs to be within 90 days. So it's got to. You can't just get one now and keep it. So it's got to be within 90 days before your renewal. So easiest thing to do as you're here is something I should have said as well, and Chris probably he obviously would advise this if you're a client of his. The difference when you get your year 1 visa, you have to present everything in person at the consulate, and it's all originals. For your renewals, you can do it online, and so electronic copies are acceptable. So when you get your wedding certificate, get somebody in England to order it for you.
Slight problem there. He's just said we got married in Venezuela.
Oh, well. Or better off then, ignore me. I've no idea.
Yeah, I've got no idea how to get thingy wedding certificates apostilled from Venezuela, which is why you did it as individuals, presumably.
Yeah,
And I don't know if there's a problem with if you're registered as individuals and not as married, whether showing your wedding certificate now, which is 18 years old, is going to confuse the issue. So I wouldn't know what to say about that. I'd pass that one on to Chris and see what he says.
Because year one, we were individuals. And then year 2, 3, we got married in the first year. So we changed from individuals to married couple, but obviously got married in the UK. I don't know. I don't know any. The only other immigrants I know are all, as in not UK or American immigrants. So I don't know how that works, but not South America. There's an interesting one for Chris to get.
It is, yes. Yeah, I would definitely get in touch with Chris on that one, Peter. Sorry, we can't give a full answer. There's so much. Here we go. Let me just get my thing up in there. There's so much. It depends about that question. There you go. I've not done that for a while, so there we go. Where's all the rest of my stuff? Chat. There it is. Let's see. Cute Kitty. That's a lovely name, isn't it? My uncle, a British citizen, wants to retire to Spain, but is age 75 and has arthritis. He's finding it hard to find insurance. Well, yeah, that will cover the cost of arthritis injections. Any ideas? I do have in the video description a very good broker called Sam Campbell. Get in touch with her and she'll see if she can help you on that one. She's a good friend. So, yeah. That's all I can say about that. I don't know. This is the most difficult thing, really, when you're talking about health insurance, is to get no co-payments and no previous conditions. It's a tough one. Thank you for the question, Cute Kitty. Good name. Peter Newbury says it's impossible to get a new copy of our wedding certificate. I contacted the Venezuela embassy, but no joy. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. It's a tough one.
Chris, again, Chris is the expert, but if you're a UK citizen, I just wonder whether it would be worth contacting the UK embassy, and asking them, can you help us?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Robbo's asking, would the registry office send a digital copy of the marriage certificate?
Yeah,
they do, don't they?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So if you, it has to be original. So the UK register office, get it sent to somebody in the UK. Mm-hmm. They can then scan it and email it to you. So you have to have the original somewhere. So for example, my mother does it for me. So she just scans it, emails it to me. So I've got a digital copy, but she then sends the original to The Hague to be apostilled. The original gets apostilled. That gets sent back to my mother. She charges a small fee. She'll do it for anyone. The original gets sent back to her, and then she scanned front and back, because you've got to be able to see the apostille. And then we sent that to our lawyer, and that was all acceptable. But you must have the original to begin with, because that's what's got to be sent to get apostilled.
Brilliant. Barry from Unitech says, we got married 31 years ago. Our wedding certificate's written on parchment. Fabulous. Yeah, they go back that far, Barry. It's all right. There we go. And Peter says, great, thank you. We'll ask UK Embassy for help. Good idea. Yeah, good insights, Ruth. You're like an expert on this, aren't you?
Thanks.
Fabulous. And let's talk about travelling on an expired TIE card, because this happened to you, didn't it? Tell us about that.
It's just happened. So I'm going to be really honest, because I think in all of our J-word journeys, honesty helps. So this is a very live situation for us. So, as Skatz said, you don't renew your visa, you renew your TIE, your tarjeta,
Identificación.
Identificación Extranjeros. So what we learned is that your TIE card, and I really should show one, that would be useful, wouldn't it? Your TIE card is the legal document. So we've been granted our last visa, our last renewal, and we've got the paperwork to say that it's all been granted.
Mm-hmm.
Next step is you go to the Extranjeros office and the immigration office or the police station, and you have your fingerprints taken, and you present all the paperwork, and then you go back and you get your physical plastic card. You can't get your fingerprint appointment until your card has expired. So we got our renewal through on November the 25th or something. And our actual cards expired on the 29th. So the earliest we could have gotten an appointment is November the 30th. As it is, we can't get an appointment. There's just no appointments available. Now we're flying back to the UK for Christmas. So technically, we don't have the legal document because our TIE has expired. And although we've been granted renewal, because the plastic card isn't in date, technically, we do not have legal right to re-enter the country. So you have to get another form, a letter that accompanies your renewal approval to say you're in process and you are allowed, you have the legal right to return. Now,
Is that the one called the Resguardo, or is that just the first one?
I don't know. My lawyer didn't say what the name of it was, or I might have been so stressed I don't remember it. She probably did say it. I was like, oh, panic. Now, a friend of mine had a letter done last year. She needed one, and it cost her €15 to get a letter to say, yes, you've got the right to return. She was in a similar situation. Ours was going to be €180. I was like, I don't want to shell that out just before Christmas and everything else. So I said to my lawyer, look, sometimes you come back in, show your TIE, and the rules have changed in November. You've got to show your card if you're returning. And I said, sometimes they look at it, sometimes they don't. They barely look at your passport. What do you think? And she was very honest. She said, look, the chances of them marrying up the fact that you're coming back in the country, you've got a valid passport, if you didn't show your TIA, the chances that anything happening is so slim, but I have to give you the legal, I have to tell you the law, and this is the law. You can only come back in this letter. So, but she said it's entirely up to you. I can't make you get it. It's your decision whether you get it or not. So the law is when you are in your renewal process, whether it's 2 or 3 or 3 and 4, whichever you're in, if your TIE card has expired, you do not have legal right to re-enter the country without this letter. So my advice to you is, if you're planning to travel around the time of your renewal, don't, or be prepared to get the letter. So it's your plastic card that gives you the legal right to return. So your renewal paperwork, the approval paperwork, is not your legal right, it is your actual card. So either get the extra letter from your lawyer, which can accompany your travel, or don't travel and wait until you've actually got your plastic.
Wow, that's a good full answer. Thank you for that. We've got a reply from Chris here talking about the age of dependency, the conversation that we had earlier. That was quite a while ago. He says, great answer, Skatz. I'm glad I got that right. They're raising the age of dependency in the new law, which comes into force on the 20th of May 2025 to 26 for some residency platforms. So that's interesting. So they're allowing it to be over 21 years old. So that'll be interesting. We'll cover that in a further show.
Shut the soul out.
Ah, yes. We had this problem, everybody, earlier on. We were getting a good flash across the screen, and the sun is gradually moving around behind you. So there we go. Thanks for that, Chris. And shall we move on to talking about what 2024 has been? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move on to the mid-show advert thing, and then we can do everything in the second half about the 2024 journey, I think. So yeah, let's do that. it's our usual reminder of all of the services available to you as a YouTooSpain follower. And while you're watching that, take a moment to subscribe. It's very quick, costs you nothing, and it helps us to help you. Right then, lads, where are you? Take it away. Are you getting the most out of YouTooSpain? Yes, no, I don't know. Did you know that apart from these Saturday morning live shows with expert guests, or expats with really exciting stories to tell, it's not the bloody Graham Norton show. There are videos every Wednesday evening, packed with all the information you need, so we can move to Spain and enjoy living here. Without paying tax? No, Colonel, that's illegal. Naughty boy. Bah! You can find out how to navigate the bureaucracy successfully. How do I find the videos, darling? Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. And click on the bell, you useless cunt. Colonel, there's also a gorgeous YouTooSpain website full of articles, links and everything you need. YouTooSpain.com. And if you want to say thank you to YouTooSpain for all of the valuable information, or if you've been entertained, you can support Skatz with a donation. He looks like he needs a support. The poor bugger can't even stand up. If he was a horse, I'd shoot him. Colonel! The Colonel's not a very nice man. It's all right. He's just a two-dimensional stereotype. Aren't we all, sweetie? I'm not. Brexit! And how do I support YouTooSpain? Use the QR code in the corner! Or you can find it in the SuperLink in the video description below. Where? In the video description, you bloody idiot. I've warned you, Colonel. I'll send you back to the nunnery. There! It's below the video title. Down there. It says, read more. That's right. Just click or tap on that and lots more text appears. There's so much more down below. And don't forget the Facebook page and the YouTooSpain community group, darling, where you can talk to other people just like you. Oh, there's no one like me, sweetie. Thank goodness. Is that everything? There's a guest waiting to tell me things. Oh, I do like things. Where's Doogie Dog? I'm stuck behind a wall. Oh, sorry, Doogie. Follow my voice. Thank you, Master. Get back to the show. I need to go and punch some servants. Oh, Colonel. Back to Skatz in the studio. I haven't watched that for a while. Normally I run off to the loo, but I thought I'll just sit and watch for that. I've changed my beard as well. Isn't that lovely? So let's get on with talking about the journey, the J word, because we've both had a bit of a nightmare, haven't we, this year? So tell us about yours to start with.
It throws up a lot of things that you don't think about when you move country and emigrate and have all these contingency plans. It all started in February when I broke my foot. We were house sitting a rabbit, and it taught me some new Spanish words. The Spanish word gombero, which means hooligan. So that was a word I used for the pesky rabbit who chewed its way through everything, ruined loads of the chairs. It ate bits of the window, the rubber, bloody thing. So anyway, it got under my foot and I fell down the stairs and broke my foot. So I was in a boot for 6 weeks. So that was the kickoff. And then then we had to put my father into a care home in England. He's got a very rare form of MND. And so my mother physically couldn't look after him anymore. So we had to put him in a care home. Navigating that from a different country, let me tell you, it nearly brought me to my knees, trying to navigate the care system in the UK. Funding and everything has just been an absolute nightmare. So we got him into a care home, and then we've had to change care homes for him. So I've been dealing with all of that. And then John, my husband, his father had a horrendous fall when they were on holiday in Benidorm. John got a call 1:30 in the morning. Your dad's had a little bit of a fall, and not a little bit of a fall. He fell while he was holding 2 glasses.
Oh.
As he fell and the glasses smashed, he fell onto the glass. So John had to do a mercy dash in the middle of the night down to Benidorm, He was admitted into hospital for 3 days. They were very good. So we've had elderly parents in the UK needing help, elderly parents on holiday in Spain needing help, as well as trying to negotiate our renewals, trying to make sure we had everything lined up in the bank and everything for that. So it's just this year, it's just I just can't wait to see the back of this year. And now we've yes, we've got the renewal, all the parents are settled, everyone's in where they should be, everyone's on the mend. But I think the point of that bit of the journey that I want to highlight to everybody is, look, it's amazing moving to Spain, don't get me wrong. There's everything to recommend it and very little to be said against it. However, as we all get older, it's not all about the beer and the tapas. You please put your contingency plans in place. Make sure you've got enough funds to fly back to the UK at short notice. Make sure you've got enough funds that you planned your flights throughout the year, because as you get older and your dependents, maybe you've got elderly parents or you've got children with children, that sort of thing, you will still need to go back to the UK, and you need to be able to afford to do that. You need to be able to have that in your slush fund. You think it's, you think it's all about, we're going to get there, it's going to be great, it's just going to be, the sun's going to be fab, we're going to be retired. But you still have family and friends that rely on you, or of course, you love and you want to take care of. And things change with the rest of your family. You need to be able to deal with that. And I think this is one of the things that we hadn't really thought about, how that would move on. And it's a bit like you, Skatz, what's happened to you this year? Suddenly things change. You have to be able to deal with that. And if you haven't thought about those contingencies and they come and smack you in the face, it's an extra level of stress. And you're miles away from everybody. That's the thing as well. And you're trying to navigate systems.
It's all unfamiliar, isn't it? And having to be there for somebody in hospital, for example, the nurses don't do everything for you. They do the nursing.
This whole bring your own food in, bring your own. I mean, when Pappy got admitted, they gave him a gown, and that was it. And it was, he was having this, like you said about the hospital food. John was having to bring meals in for him, and it's a very different system over here. So, and these things happen. You've got no frame of reference for it. So and even in Benidorm, the hospital staff, and this sounds terribly arrogant, John speaks some Spanish, but the hospital staff didn't speak English.
No.
Mammy and Pappy have been coming to Spain for a lot of years, but their Spanish doesn't extend beyond Dos Cerveza. So there he is, admitted into hospital with serious head injury, and it's that we were able to get there. So, I mean, it's a bit of a downer on the show, and it is wonderful. But I would just say to anyone planning to come here, just ask yourself, what if this happens? What if that happens? Do we have the funds to be able to cope with emergencies?
Yes, it can just change the whole of your life if you're not prepared for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who would want to move back to the UK? Let's face it.
Absolutely. I mean, because the horror stories come out of the UK at the moment. Absolutely not. I don't want to go back there ever, for a variety of reasons. But you've got to have a contingency plan.
Even if you're facing financial ruin, I'd rather face it here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd rather be poor in a sunny clime with nice people than not.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Oh, good morning, Nelly. Just joined us in the at the halfway point. Lovely to see you. Yeah, sorry about all the coughs and the snorting from both of us. We're both under the weather. I think my white blood cell count isn't very high at the moment from what I've been through. But I'm trying not to cough, and we'll keep this show relatively short today. We'll try and keep it to an hour at the most, because I'm going to have to go and have a lie down in a bit. Yeah, I'll get some energy back one day. But we've only got one more show. This is the penultimate show. I decided to do the Christmas show on the 14th, and then that's enough. I've actually got my 60th birthday coming up after that, and I don't think I'll be fit to do a show after that. There we go. So that's yes, it's been a horrible year. Have you got any questions to ask me?
Yeah, I mean, obviously what's happened to you is, God, you wouldn't wish it on anybody, but to have it in a foreign country, what's the experience been like navigating the Spanish healthcare system?
Well, it was to start with, waiting for a colonoscopy was quite tough because it was 10 or 11 months by the time I got that done, and that was all because there were no cancer markers in my blood test results. So the doctor was saying, "Oh, it's all right, it's not cancer."
Oh.
I kept saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure it's not cancer? Because that's the one thing there's blood there. I need to know." And she's saying, "No, it's all right." But she kept on pushing for an appointment. So navigating that, I didn't know whether to wait. It was my first time in a waiting list in Spain. So, yeah, that was tricky. And I'm not the sort of person to be really pushy. At least I haven't been. I'm getting a bit more that way now after this experience.
Was that the public healthcare system or the private healthcare system? So you must be in, because you're
public. I'm autonomo. Yeah. And I'm glad of that. I'm really glad of that system, and all the money that I've been paying in monthly, and that Liz has been paying in monthly, because we're both individually autonomo. I think has been worth it, and way more than worth it, to be honest, because this would have cost us quite a lot if we didn't have coverage. And I just imagine how much it would have cost in America. It would have been in tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars,
I think another thing, especially for you where you live, which was an eye-opener when we first talked about your diagnosis, again, thinking about your journey and getting prepared, this is really crucial when you're deciding where to live, because you don't have a hospital in your town.
No, there's a health centre, and it's quite a good one, and it's a brand new one, actually.
So to say, that's only recent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there was a health centre there, but it was an older building and more difficult to get to. It was on one of the narrow streets, but now it's right on the central sort of car park where you can drive up, and it's easy to park right next to, and great big lovely glass doors that slide apart, and it's a much bigger area and lovely and fresh and new, and there are lots more rooms there. So I think
it's really important to think about in your planning, your contingency, are we near a hospital? Are we near healthcare? Are we near, can we access government buildings? I think, where's you've got a town hall, where's your immigration office? Because with you having an hour and a half journey to get to a hospital when you're not well, and the support systems that's needed to do that, these are things you don't think about, because you just think about it's all about the beer and the umbrellas and the flip-flops.
Yeah, absolutely. And where exactly you live, whether you're near a main road, you've got to be near a motorway to get to the hospital. Only before I went into hospital last week, I was having a bit of a party with friends in their house in the Campo, and I kind of took ill after overdoing it, and they said, "Well, we can't get an ambulance down the track." So I had to wake Liz up. She was already asleep, and she had to drive me down to Visas Malaga to the emergencies, and that was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And so you really do have to think about that. So that is the nearest for us. That's about 35 minutes away. That's the nearest accident and emergency. But to get to where I actually had the operations and everything is Malaga. So that's just over an hour.
Yeah. So I think it's location is really, really important. So I think this is on our journey, that on reflection, 3 years in, what I know now about being here, I mean, we're really lucky. We love where we live. It's absolutely right for us. And our estate agent, when she asked us, when we found her, she said very intelligently, don't tell me about the house you want. Tell me about the life you want to lead. Tell me about the life you lived in the UK, and then I will know which area to suggest to you. And she got it absolutely spot on, because we can walk into the village, into our little town. We're on the bus route. We've got all amenities around us, which is what we wanted. We didn't want a life in the campo. What I know now is even more important. You know, when she asked us that question, oh, okay, that's quite intelligent. But now, 3 years on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked that, because we could have ended up in a completely different place, which wouldn't have suited us. And I said, you know, for us, the hospital's at the end of the bus route. When I broke my foot, we were able to go straight there the next day and get treated and get everything that we needed. I know our GP is only 10 minutes away. So I think on reflection, it sounds stupid, but I didn't realise how crucial location was. You know, talking to you about what's happened, other friends, you know, even what's just happened with the latest Dana, like one of your routes to your town is cut off.
Yeah.
You know,
completely mad. You didn't expect that. And actually both of them were cut off for a short period of time when, and we were away in Fuengirola on the day. Yeah.
So in the journey, it's things why, you know, location's really important, and things that you think matter probably matter a little less. You learn after 3 years not to get so uptight about things. I don't know what you think about, you know, you've been here a little bit longer than us, but about the whole system and everything everything always works out in the end in Spain, just not necessarily in the time frame you might expect.
No, that's very true. And the one thing I've learned about the hospital system, this is just kind of connected but slightly different, is that everything is there, but everything seems, now I've gone through it, slightly disconnected. It's like everyone's working to rule in their own department, and they don't quite know what the other department is doing. So they tell you what's going to happen next. They send you to the next people to deal with you, the oncologist, and they say something different. And then, so your expectations, you have to manage your expectations of this, which, and I'm used to knowing, you know, I used to think when I went to the dentist, I'd rather the dentist said, when I say, is this going to hurt? They'd say, yes, it'll hurt for a minute, or it's going to be very uncomfortable for 5, 10 minutes, half an hour. You know, and you're going to have your jaw like this, and you know, I'd rather they explained it to me first, so I knew what to expect and I could prepare for that in my head and be ready for that kind of period of time. But I had no real perception of what staying in a hospital was going to be like. And I didn't realise that I was going to stay to begin with in the hospital where I had the operation. I'd stay in recovery, then I'd be moved to a ward there, but to an individual room just for me, which had its own bathroom, and Liz could stay there. Granted, we had an expectation that there wasn't going to be anywhere for her to sleep, but there was a chair there and it was a big enough room. So she actually, eventually, after spending the first night on the chair and waking up with a horribly bad back, she brought some yoga mats along and slept on the floor there instead with a pillow, and that was a lot better. But then, after 24 hours, they moved me to another hospital on a ward where I was in a shared room, which had half of the space and nowhere for her to lie down, and it was so much noisier, and well, it was just not as pleasant. I mean, fortunately, I had a man who had his wife there, you know, and an elderly couple. They weren't that loud. Their voices weren't that loud. Whereas I was told by a friend of mine whose friend spent time in hospital, he had somebody who was sharing the room with had a voice like a foghorn. And
it's the last place you want to be when you're unwell, this hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's full of sick people. You don't want to be near them. And yeah, and also we had having visitors in hospital. It says on the corridor you're only allowed one visitor, and we had terrible trouble even getting Chris in, and he's good getting through difficulties and through doors. But it says that you're only allowed one visitor at a time, and even if you're allocated visitor, your partner who can stay there overnight if they want, they've got to give the card to the visitor and they've got to go out while the visitor comes in. But every single day, the person in the next bed to me had his wife there, and I'd have 2 more visitors come in, then somebody else would arrive, and then they'd leave, some more people would arrive, and they're all only supposed to arrive in visiting hours, which are only kind of 2.5 hours in the afternoon and 2.5 hours in the evening. And it was ridiculous. And when I said to them, I've got somebody down at the door, my wife's not here, she's gone home because she's ill. She was wearing a big black mask. She was sneezing and coughing everywhere. So she said, to be fair to everybody, I'm going to go and try and recover at home so that I can be better for you when you come out of hospital. And I was talking to the nurse on the nursing station and saying, look, my friend's here. I just want to get him in. He's my one visitor. And she pointed to this sign, which said these are the rules and this is the visiting times, and the visiting times were 12:30 till 2 something, and she was saying, and outside of those times, no, they can't come in, and it was 12:45 when she was saying this, and I just got confused, and then she started saying, how long have you been here? You've been here for 3 years. Where do you live? Competent, and she was having a go at me not being able to speak Spanish properly. It's because she was confusing me by saying it's not visiting hours, but it was. We were right in the bloody middle of it.
I think the one of the phrases we use most here is "Welcome to Spain," because sometimes you're just like, with the best will in the world, I just don't understand whether. There's no correlation between rules and not rules, abiding by them and not abiding by them. The only constant seems to be expect the unexpected, expect it not to be as you imagine.
Yeah. So. And there's also the things that have happened with one nurse doing something, and they've given me the wrong drugs sometimes, because there's a certain. I'm not going to go into it too deeply because I think we're going to be making a complaint against the hospital. There's a drug that Northern Europeans aren't supposed to have, wow. and it's had a bad effect. It's killed some Northern Europeans because we've got it's a genetic deficiency, so that this particular drug affects people really badly, some people, and so they're not supposed to give it, and it's well known. And I was given it at the first hospital, and that was terrible. And they put it down on my records, and yet nurses at the other hospital. So I said, "Can I have something more than paracetamol?" So, and somebody else gave me the same thing, and they actually put it on my medical card as well, that I could pick some up at the pharmacy.
Wow.
They put it as a prescription. So there's just something missing in the communication there. Maybe they don't look at the medical records every time, which is we're used to in the UK with them going on the computer and going, if there's allergies, they come up straight away on the top of the screen, don't they?
Yeah,
as far as I know.
I think this is something else when you're thinking about relocating, is you can't. I mean, it's cultural stress is the term, because you're living in a different culture. But I think it's really easy to underestimate when you're in a situation that's stressful in a different country. That stress level isn't comparable. So what you've been through, if you were in England or Ireland, would still be stressful, but you would inherently understand the system. You would inherently understand what to expect. You'd know that world, because you've just grown up with it. Mm-hmm. When you move to a different country, even if you speak a little bit of the language, it's still different. So you're already in a stressful situation, and then you're adding on top of the fact that you don't really have any expectation. You don't know, you don't have a frame of reference, and the stress level isn't comparable because it's so different. And so I think that's crucial when you think about relocating, is do you want to go somewhere that's got a huge immigrant community with people that you can rely on that might speak more of the language in case situations like this arise. And it sounds a bit sort of dramatic, but you know, where we are, where very little English is spoken, suddenly going to hospital, you think, oh my gosh, you know, I've got to go to hospital and navigate all this. And we've got, our hospital's amazing. Obviously, we're in the private system because we're post-Brexit, so and we're not autonomous, so we don't pay into anything because we can't work. So we're under Sanitas, and our hospital is great. But even so, when you're not very well and you've got to navigate somebody, like, I don't know what happens here. I don't know. Do I go to emergency, or do I have to book in? Do I have to go see the GP first? You know, all these sort of things. So I think this year's stress levels, it would have been bad enough had we both been in our home countries. But being somewhere else, it's just, it ages you. I feel like I aged this year.
Yeah. Do you know what? From when I went to university, I always said I want to be 25. I thought that was my ideal age. Just the feeling of it being a bit more respected than I was when I was just a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to 25 and I thought, yeah, this is okay. And then I stayed at 25 in my head for all those years. And even in my 40s, people thought I was younger because I just always acted more lively and younger. And in my 50s, people thought I was in my 40s. And I thought, 40 sounds okay, but I still feel a bit younger than that. And then this year, no, I've suddenly gone to late 50s and facing my 60th birthday. And I was happy to go into my 30s and into my 40s and into my 50s. I celebrated that. But this time, it's all aches and pains, and it's even more aches and pains. It feels like I've been shot because it's the general feeling of it not even being able to bend over properly is just completely different from anything I've experienced before. So
we all sound a bit doom and gloom. We don't mean to, do we? We're just trying to.
No. Sometimes it's good to express, though. It's good to complain, and I've done so much more of it recently. I started up a whole new YouTube channel, the Still Alive channel, which is partly to express all of this, but partly to say we're all still alive. Let's live. Don't die before you die. Don't die in advance. You know.
Exactly.
So that's.
Have we got any more questions?
I was just looking. Actually, Nelly had a question, which is interesting. I've got a simple answer to this one. If Brexit rules were relaxed regarding free movement for Brits, do you think this will increase house prices in Spain? So there's sort of two questions there. First of all, freedom of movement for Brits ended with Brexit. That's not going to change because that's an EU rule. You have to be in the EU to have freedom of movement in the EU. So that's not going to relax. There may be, if Spain can care about it enough politically, which I don't think they ever will, some kind of extra visa, whether they might allow people to stay for 180 days in a row or something like that. That might come, but that won't be freedom of movement. That will be a travel visa. That's the only thing I can see happening.
I think there's going to be more movement for younger people. That's been agreed.
Yes.
So younger people can work gap years, etc. But again, that's not free movement. There'll be conditions for that. In terms of house prices in Spain, no, I don't think it would have any. It wouldn't have a sufficient impact.
No. I mean, house prices in Spain. There's a problem with house prices in Spain already going up.
Yeah.
And people being able to afford it. You know, people who live here.
Yeah.
And so that's why people are marching on the streets in lots of places, especially on the islands, on the Canary Islands and on Mallorca. So
I think the bigger problem is these Airbnbs, as you say, and people being priced out of the market that way. And I think tourism is the bigger problem that Spain's got to address. So no, I don't think it'll increase house prices. No,
because it's not going to happen. There you go. Hey, Anton Kez is saying, Q song, we've done it all. Ha ha ha. We now have a rucksack ready to go with a whole variety of needs. Yes, whatever you do, don't forget earplugs. Oh, absolutely. I tell you, the best thing I have ever bought is, do I show you the brand? They're called Loops. I bought these not too long ago, thinking it wasn't for hospital. It was for the appointments when I was going along for treatment, because there was noise in the corridors while I was waiting, and I just wanted to read a book. And I thought, I'll get these, and they dampen the sound. You can wear them at big loud concerts, or you can wear them in a room full of lots of people talking away, and it just reduces the background noise, and you can hear people who are speaking just to you. Really, really handy things. And I think I've got some symptoms, as a lot of my family have, of Asperger's or ADHD, which means that all of that noise is a bit of a problem for me. So I went and bought these things, and it turned out that while I was in hospital, the first night, I'd forgotten to put them in, and I couldn't reach them without leaning over and the bag splitting and all kinds of things. But the second night, put them in, and I actually got some sleep. I had to keep taking them out when the nurse would come along, trying to take the temperature in my ear, and I'm going, no, push this thing into my ear. And they're quite small, and they fit right. They're not like these kind of earpods. They fit snugly right actually inside the ear. And they're really good. They don't stick out like those bits of the bungs that you can get from a chemist. So they've come in so handy. So Ant and Kez are in France. So you're going into hospital again, are you, Ant? Plus, even with good language skills under stress. Yeah. Yes, that's what it's all about. And Ant says, hit the like button, everybody. Or y'all. We're going all American now. And Chris says, great show, guys. Looking forward to next week. See you all soon. Yes, everybody, don't forget to send in your Christmas wishes on a video. And Chris says, hola, Chris. So that is all the questions. And we have just hit the hour. It's perfect timing. So while just in case you've got any more questions, put them in there now. There's a 23-second time lag between you putting it in and them appearing on the screen. So while we're waiting for those, Ruth, do you have any more words of advice, or even maybe the Christmas message for our lovely watchers?
Yeah.
I'll put you on the spot there.
Lots of happy Christmas. Come to Spain, move, do it. That's my message. Even though we've had a bit of this happens, do it. You will take years off your life. You will wonder why you didn't do it sooner. You will think that your life has improved immeasurably. It's just the best thing ever. If you've got any shadow of doubt, is it the right thing? The answer is yes, it absolutely is the right thing. Get your visa application, get in, do it. Happy Christmas. Brilliant.
And so Ant's not going into hospital, but have prepped for years. Yes, you've been in quite a bit. Mr. Lower Largo says, remember guys, I've just celebrated my oath birthday. It's one of the O's in August. Perfect health allowed. My dad died at 68, so you never know what your life journey will be. Be positive. Absolutely. Still alive. And Barry from Unitex says, thanks, Ruth. Loved the jumper. And thanks, as always, to Skatz for another wonderfully informative show. You're very welcome. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And Nellie says, thanks, Skatz and Ruth. So Lower Lager says, it was the 80th. You just missed the 8 out, didn't you? Well, congratulations for getting that far. Age is a funny thing, isn't it? I was talking about wanting to be 25, and then you get up to 60, and somebody who's 30. I've been watching Joe Suggs' vlog, and he's 30 now, and he's saying, "Yeah, now I'm getting old. I'm feeling this, and I'm feeling that." I'm going, 30? You're joking.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah. And yet, Mr. Lower Largo, he's 80, thinking, "Skatz, you're only 59." For goodness sake, you've got a long way to go.
Friends of mine moved here. They were pre-Brexit, and they brought their father with them. He's 97, 98 in January, and it's changed his life. Absolutely. Had they been in England, I'm sure he'd have been upstairs picking a cloud for himself. But coming to Spain, better food, better climate. Everything has just improved his life. So whatever like you say, age, live your life now, don't die before you die. And moving to Spain is possibly one of the best things that could help you.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And on that note, that's all we have time for.
It's
So everybody, oh, thank you so much. It has been absolutely wonderful chatting to you again, and we'll have to get together when we're both fit and well.
Yes.
Fantabulous. And yes, everybody, don't forget to click on the like button if you haven't already. Don't click on it again if you've clicked on it once, because it just makes it disappear. And subscribe if you haven't already. And subscribe to Still Alive as well. Make sure you subscribe to both, because they will gradually sort of move apart. That's the idea. I'm trying to separate them into two very different channels and put all of the stuff about visas and residency on this one. And so there we go. Yes, subscribe to that. This is where I always say, I'll tell you in a moment about who's on our final show of the year next week. I've already told you, but first let's give Ruth a big virtual kiss and a hug and say goodbye for now, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you in 2025.
Bye, darlings.
Bye-bye. Well, wasn't that wonderful? I've enjoyed this week's show so much, and thank you again, Ruth. I'm almost completely out of energy now, but I'll just perk up for the last few minutes and tell you all about the Christmas show next week, and there'll be a roundup of the year's residency and visa news, and of course we'll be looking ahead to 2025 and see what's coming up there, because there are some exciting developments. And Chris from Upsticks, of course, will be with me all the way through the show. I had planned to get loads of guests on to wish you Merry Christmas like we had last year, but being cut off in hospital isn't very conducive to making arrangements about stuff like that. So if you're all up for it, then send in the videos, and hopefully I'll get some of my guests to do the same as well. Once again, make them landscape, not portrait. That's that way round, not that way round, because you won't be able to see. It'll just be a strip in the middle of the screen. And compile them and get them ready. No, I'm going to compile them and get them ready. So send them in as soon as possible so I have time to do that. If you can't find a way of sending them because they're too big a file, then ask me via check out the SuperLink in the video description below. There's a way of contacting me on there. And I did previously ask you all for some Christmas challenges. I should have mentioned this earlier in the show. If anyone wants to do that, challenge yourself or me to do a good deed for someone, or just tell us all about what you're going to do. You know, the sort of thing. And if you don't, read some Dickens and you'll get the idea. So thanks to all of you for joining us and leaving comments and hitting the like button and supporting us, and donating if you have, and memberships. It's all very much appreciated. I'll see you either on the midweek video. I guess I may be making a midweek video this week. I'm not sure, but if not, live on Saturday morning next week for the very last show. That's at our regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or Portugal or the Canaries, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe. That is all for this week. Somebody pass around the J-word cookies, and peace and love to all of you. Peas and fluff. And here's one final message from all of the voices in my head here at YouTooSpain. Wave goodbye, lads. Bye.
Goodbye. Toodaloo.
Peace and love.
Peas and fluff.
Oi, oi.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
One more cosmic dance?
All right then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing.
Oh, I'm all a quiver.
Let's dance.